Welcome back to Local Edition. I'm Pomerance. Thanks for joining us. Our guest is Ed Royce. Mr. Royce is a member of the United States Congress. Sir, we thank you so much for joining us. We are facing quite a potential crisis back in Washington, and it's over an issue that relates to the debt ceiling. We are allowed to borrow so much pursuant to congressional resolution, and many members of your party don't want that ceiling to rise. Where do you come down on this issue?
Brad, I think the compromise here is to make sure that we get back towards a balanced budget. If you remember, back in 1994, you had cooperation between the House Republicans and President Clinton. We got an agreement. It was painful, but we got an agreement to come back into balance with a budget. And that's what we need right now, because the budget deficits are now at $1.4 trillion. They've gone up especially in the last few years, especially under this administration, because spending has gone way up.
It's interesting because you talk about that increase in spending, and obviously it's related to the stimulus package. I mean, that was about, almost $1 trillion. But is your view that the stimulus was a mistake? Because we have heard economists from both sides saying it did make the recession less severe.
Well, you've had arguments back and forth.
Clearly.
But what hasn't been seen in that is that we took so much money out of the private sector that we put into government. Every government agency, every government department expanded. But the public sector doesn't create real jobs. It's created in the private sector. Now we have a situation where we're borrowing for every dollar that we spend, we're borrowing 40 cents. That's unsustainable. Now, this is what we need to do to answer your question.
Please.
What we need to do is get an agreement that we will reduce spending by the amount that the debt ceiling is temporarily lifted.
Is that, with all due respect, is that honestly realistic given the other side?
Given where the president and Harry Reid are? Yes, because we cannot continue at this pace to increase a deficit that's $1.4 trillion, not just this year, but for the next 10 years. The chairman of the Federal Reserve says this is unsustainable. We've got to put the brakes on this.
I think it's fair that Democrats, Republicans, whatever you want to say, believe that we need to somehow bring the deficit down. We know that.
Not everybody on the left want to do that.
But be that
we
as it
do,
may.
But they don't.
But at least President Obama. I mean, it seems.
Well, rhetorically, but we haven't seen a
this,
plan from him yet to do this. We need him to come to the table and reach this agreement.
I guess
that President Clinton did with House Republicans. He should as well.
I guess where the question is it would appear that President Obama, Vice President Biden would like to see some spending pulled back, but to cut $2.5 trillion immediately, that's pretty dramatic.
Well, we can phase that in, but the ratchet can't just go to the left. We've got to be able to ratchet down spending, and we have seen double-digit increases in every government agency and department. Those have to government employment and the size of government has to be reduced.
But has the Republican Party, said that we will allow the $2.5 trillion to be cut over time? Because from what I know, and I don't know much, it seems as if it's you want the debt ceiling to go up this amount, you have to cut this amount exactly at the same time.
We are in negotiations right now. The Vice President is chairing these meetings, and we're trying to work out that time frame. If you recall, when we did this in '94 and balanced the budget, it took us a couple of years to do it, right? I think the expectation is, but we got it done in '94. We can do it again. We're going to have to hold our ground on this.
You've been around since 1992, and it's a different Republican today. And so, can you get the newest members who have come with a lot of vigor to support something that may be less than what they want?
If they get a balanced budget out of it, if they get the glide path back to a balanced budget, that's what we need in this negotiation for us to say yes to the right. I mean, that's the end goal. We've got to get the budget balanced. It's unsustainable the course we're on.
His name is Ed Royce. He's a member of the United States Congress. I'm Pomerance. If you want to watch more editions of Local Edition, you can sign on to Video on Demand. That's Channel 1. Then go to Local, and then go to My Government. I'm Pomerance. Back to HLN.